Right now, in a research station in Siberia, there's a fox that hasn't even fully opened its eyes yet, and it will already trust the hand reaching toward it. Not because anyone trained it, because 60 years of its ancestors were chosen, one litter at a time, for exactly this reaction. Here's the part that shouldn't make sense. That same trust, a wild animal placing its most defenseless moment directly into human hands, shows up in creatures nobody bred, nobody trained, and nobody tamed. Elephants, wild dolphins, crows, feral cats, species that share almost nothing biologically on opposite sides of the planet, doing the exact same impossible thing, handing their babies to us. We are, biologically speaking, one of the most dangerous animals most of these species will ever encounter. So why do the ones in trouble keep choosing us? The easy answer starts here, with a Soviet geneticist named Dmitri Beliaev. His theory sounded almost too simple. In every generation, breed only the calmest fox, the one least afraid of people. Do it again and again, for decades. Within a few generations, something strange happened. The foxes weren't just tamir. Their ears started to flop, their tails curled, their faces rounded out, more juvenile looking, even though they were still genetically foxes. Beliaev had stumbled onto what biologists now call the domestication syndrome. Select an animal for friendliness, and a whole cluster of physical traits comes along for the ride, uninvited. It's a real, repeated result. The experiment is still running in Siberia today. And it explains a lot. Dogs, cats, and, some researchers argue, us. There's a hypothesis associated with scientists like Brian Hare and Richard Wrangham that humans essentially domesticated ourselves. The calm, cooperative members of early human groups simply outcompeted the aggressive ones, generation after generation. But wait, that theory only works for animals shaped by generations of selective breeding. Nobody bred wild elephants for friendliness. There's no 50-year experiment quietly domesticating crows. So if it isn't breeding, what is it? In Germany, researchers ran a quiet experiment on two elephants named Bibi and Panya. 13 years earlier, the pair had lived at a different zoo, cared for by 3 specific keepers. 13 years is a long time. New country, no contact, no reason to remember. The researchers tracked the 3 men down, had them wear a t-shirt for 8 hours, recorded them speak in a short sentence, took their photographs, then set up 2 stands side by side, one carrying the scent of a former keeper, one carrying the scent of a total stranger. Bibi and Panya reached, again and again, toward the familiar scent. After 13 years apart, that's the first real clue. Whatever's happening here isn't a reflex triggered in the moment. It's memory. Long, specific, individual memory, held onto for an entirely different species. But elephants are famous for their memory. Maybe this is just an elephant thing. Except it isn't. For more than 16 years, biologist John Maslow has studied crows on a campus in Seattle. Early on, his team briefly trapped a small number of wild crows while wearing one specific mask, just long enough to band them, then release them unharmed. Years later, Maslow put the same mask on and walked the same paths. Crows who had never personally been trapped, birds who weren't even alive during the original study, mobbed him, screamed alarm calls, dive-bombed the mask on sight. They had learned the threat from their parents who had only watched the original trapping from a distance. The information spread through the flock and down through generations. A threat assessment passed crow to crow, aimed at a face most of them had never personally seen do anything wrong. Here's the part that should stop you. If a bad reputation can travel that far, through a brain the size of a walnut, what happens to a good one? You've probably seen the viral version of this story, a mother dolphin deliberately nudging her injured calf toward a boat, practically asking for help. It's a beautiful clip. It's also mostly the popular version, not the fully verified one. What is well documented repeatedly in the scientific record is slightly less cinematic, but arguably more impressive. Dolphins have an extensively recorded history of supporting injured or distressed members of their own pod, holding them near the surface so they can breathe, responding to specific distress calls with coordinated help. And when the public reports an entangled or injured calf near shore, multi-agency veterinary teams do regularly go out, sometimes over several days, and successfully free them from fishing line. That partnership between wild dolphins and human responders is real. Whether the mother is consciously choosing the boat is the part science hasn't nailed down. The truth is almost always the quieter, more careful version. That's usually where the real mystery is hiding. So here's a new question. If it's not blind trust, and it isn't always deliberate on the animal's side, why does the pattern keep landing on us specifically? Part of the answer might be about what we do, involuntarily, when we see something young and helpless. In the 1940s, ethologist Konrad Lorenz proposed something called the baby schema, a set of features, big eyes, round face, oversized head, that triggers an automatic caretaking response in the human brain. Brain imaging studies since have confirmed it. Those features light up the same reward circuitry involved in wanting to protect something. Lorenz suspected this response wasn't limited to human infants, that it might fire for kittens, puppies, even cartoon characters engineered to look cute. Researchers today agree the effect is real within our own species. Whether it reliably crosses over, whether a mother fox or a wild dolphin can somehow sense that we're wired this way, is still an open, actively studied question, not a settled fact. But here's what is measurable. Across species after species, when researchers, rangers, or fishermen respond to an animal in distress, the pattern repeats. Slow movements, quiet voices, careful hands, and animals across an enormous range of species are extraordinarily good at reading exactly that kind of body language. Maybe animals don't trust humanity. Maybe it's narrower and stranger than that. Individual animals running a constant, quiet background check on the specific humans nearby. And once in a while, one of us passes. It's worth being honest about the darker mirror of all this. This pattern, animal trust extended to humans during a crisis, doesn't show up everywhere. It's almost entirely absent in heavily hunted populations, in regions with high human-wildlife conflict, in species that have only ever known us as a threat. Which means this was never a story about animals recognizing something universally good in humanity. It's smaller than that, and more fragile, built case by case, interaction by interaction. A slow ledger kept somewhere in memory or instinct of who has earned the benefit of the doubt. Conservation researchers have actually started using this exact pattern as a diagnostic tool. A wild population willing to approach humans during a crisis tends to correlate with something specific. Lower hunting pressure, longer histories of coexistence, less conflict. In a strange way, how animals behave toward us in their worst moments has become an informal report card on how we've been behaving toward them. So the next time you see a video like the one that probably brought you here, a stray cat, a dolphin calf, an elephant standing patiently beside a caretaker, don't file it away as a fluke. File it as a receipt, proof that somewhere, over some stretch of time, a species with every reason to fear us quietly decided we were worth the risk. We didn't earn that trust by accident, and we don't get to keep it by accident either.